What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today we're going to be talking about Zach Hyman. It's the biggest news that's going on right now. Is Zach Hyman going to be a Maple Leaf? Another offseason where the Toronto Maple Leafs have to deal with a contract of somebody that's a part of their core. And yes, Zach Hyman is a part of the core of this team. He's proven time and time again that he is a heart and soul player and that this team needs to keep him. But at what price? Is it going to be worth it? Should they keep him? These are all questions that we're going to try to answer in this video, but I want to hear your thoughts. So make sure to leave a comment down below. Also, if you're new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. But this is something that I want to get right off the bat. You don't have to like Kyle Dubas. You don't have to like the contracts that he gave out. But before whatever happened in the world, I can't say the words because YouTube apparently is like flagging videos. You guys have heard me say it before. What's going on in the world right now and what's been going on for like the past 2 years, it's felt like it hasn't been that long, at least a year, over a year. It affected obviously everything, small businesses, big businesses, NHL teams, everything. It affected everything, right? The salary cap, when the big contracts were signed, was going up. The NHL had a new franchise that was coming in, the Seattle Kraken, and then you also had the new deal that was being signed for TV rights, which was a massive deal. And the Toronto Maple Leafs also themselves were spending a little bit more in their signing bonuses and stuff like that because they just had a $300 million deal with the arena for Scotiabank. So the salary cap this year would have been, I believe it was supposed to be 84 million or 83 and a half. By Elliot Friedman, by any reporter or reporter or any insider, ask any one of them, ask anybody that knew anything about the salary cap. The NHL even came out and said it, like Gary Bettman and everybody was saying. The cap was going to be like 90 million within the next 2 years. That's the difference. 81.5, what it's at right now, is between 81.5 and 90 million. That's a sizable gap where you could sign two really good players. And now every team in the league, including the Maple Leafs, are in trouble because they need to offload some money. And now again, guys, we are not going to blame Kyle Dubas for not being able to predict what's going on in the world right now. Okay, we're not going to blame him. That's just ridiculous. There's people that are still mad about the contracts. You can be. You have every right to be mad. Marner's overpaid. Nylander is slightly overpaid. His contract looks much better, and I've said it before. I love his contract now. I think it looks great. The Marner contract is like $1.5 million too much, maybe $2 million. The Matthews deal, for what he does, I would still say it's probably like $500,000 too expensive, and that is a good amount of money. That's like nearly $2 million that the Leafs could have saved. But the Leafs locked up their young core and said, we're going to build around it. They got good role players. Dubas made a lot of moves this offseason. It clearly wasn't enough. The players on the ice didn't get it done. We'll talk about that in another video again. But Zach Hyman needs a contract. Before we get into any sort of meat and potatoes of this video, Freddie Anderson is gone. Guys, he's not coming back. They're not re-signing him. They're probably trading Pierre Engvall, which is another $1.5 million or whatever it is, right? The Leafs might have to explore sending Mikheyev down. I don't think they're going to do it. But, guys, Mikheyev is not effective. I'm sorry. I love the guy. But, man, what did he do that impressed you guys in the playoffs? I'm sorry. What did he do? There wasn't a lot there. He can't shoot. He doesn't have a good shot. He can't finish. Listen, people are going to hate me for that one. I don't know where he fits in. The Leafs, I love him. I wish he could stay, but they're going to explore that. Kerfoot might get taken by Seattle. If not, they're probably going to trade him. The Leafs have money to be able to keep Zach Hyman. You got to remember, Timothy Liljegren and Rasmus Sandin are going to be on the Leafs blue line this year. They're both ready. You don't have to believe it, but they're both ready. Sandin has proven it. He didn't have his best games in the playoffs. He's still young. He's learning. He had a great couple games. He had a bad couple games. He's going to get used to it. Timothy Liljegren is ready. Put him in a bottom pairing role and let him build up his minutes. He is very good. Hyman getting into this team needs to be at a reasonable number. Now, I'm going to let you guys know that the Leafs will have guys that are cheaper that are going to be on this team. You're probably going to have Spezza come back. You might be able to get Bogosian to come back on a cheap deal for that blue line. Galchenyuk, you might be able to get him on a cheap deal as well. The Leafs will be able to build a good team. And especially if they end up trading Mitch Marner, obviously then your money opens up big time. But if we're focusing on Zach Hyman and hypothetically saying that the Leafs have the money to be able to sign him, which I do believe there is a very good chance they can, and there's also a very good chance that they won't. It's right there. You have to make that decision yourself. I am on the side of thinking he will stay. I think it's going to be in between the 4.2 to $4.5 million range. Now, some people are going to say, whoa, that's a lot. But if teams are willing to give him 5 in the open market and he wants to take a little bit of a discount to stay in Toronto, I think 4.5 is probably fair for both sides. And for the Toronto Maple Leafs to be able to lock him up, that's probably what's going to have to happen. Now, Terry Koshin kind of put out a tweet here earlier saying that the Leafs offering Hyman $5 million on an average annual value and Hyman turning it down was false. His agent, Todd Reynolds, says that it's not accurate. So there was rumors coming out that Hyman turned down a contract from the Maple Leafs already that was over $5 million. That was negated. It didn't happen. But what we need to look at here too, Hyman's 28. If you're going to try to lock him up long term, you're probably getting him at the rest of his really good years, the end of his prime, and a little bit into the this contract's decent type of range where he's still giving you decent numbers. He's a great player. He's fast. He kills penalties. He can play in different roles. He can play. Obviously, he plays the wing. He can play at the center position. He does a lot of good things. He loves the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's been on record saying that he'd love to sign here long term, play as a Leaf forever, and win a Stanley Cup. Guys, all guys don't say that, okay? They don't. Hyman wants to win here. He wants to stay. But this is something that's very interesting. You guys know Chris Johnston is locked in on the Maple Leafs. He said Hyman's next contract will almost certainly be worth more than $5 million per season and come with term, which is why it's possible the hometown kid has already played his final game for the Leafs. I mean, Chris Johnston, he's good at his job, guys. He's very good at his job. I don't have the inside sources, but I don't personally think that it's going to be that much. I still think 4.5 seems to be the number that I would be comfortable with if I was the GM. But again, I'm not. I'm just a dude who makes hockey videos. But I have a little bit of knowledge. And I just don't think that it makes sense for the Maple Leafs. And I think even Zach Hyman knows the only way that he can stay in Toronto is if he takes 4.5 or a little less, maybe a little more. But I don't think 5 is the number that the Leafs would be comfortable with, and I don't believe that it's possible for them to do that if they want to be able to build another Cup team, unless they trade Marner for multiple assets that are cheaper, that create depth scoring, blah, 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 blah. We've heard this a million times over. And by the way, no to Seth Jones. Anyways, let's keep going. Tyler Toffoli is the comparable in my books, okay? So he had a really good season this year with Montreal, 44 points in 52 games. You compare that to Hyman, 33 points in 43 games. If you look at previous numbers, Hyman's had a couple 20-goal seasons. He's done very well for this Leafs team. Obviously, Toffoli has had 24, 31, 23, 28. He's had some really good goal-scoring years, but, maybe he doesn't have the overall game that Zach Hyman has. Both are great players, but let's just take a look at this contract. $4.25 million. He's got that deal for a few more seasons here. I think that this makes a ton of sense for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think this is the comparable. Now, the Leafs also could give Hyman a pretty sizable bonus if they felt like that was the way they wanted to go. But another thing I want you guys to take a look at, we're gonna come all the way down here again. Obviously, a little bit more experience. 62 playoff games, 31 points, right? 32 playoff games, 13 points. And he's actually been on a little bit of a cold streak. That's Hyman in terms of putting up points in the playoffs. But much like the other Leafs big guns besides William Nylander, and if Tavares was hurt, so we can't say anything about that, they didn't do much. And, as much as I love Zach Hyman, that line didn't do anything. The Hyman, Matthews, Marner line didn't really do much. Zach Hyman probably would have been a lot more effective playing with Nylander, but again, he needed to be with them. So I think that this contract being a little bit more expensive than Toffoli's 4.2 makes a bit of sense, just based off the fact that he's probably being told that he can get big money if he goes somewhere else. There's been rumors that apparently the Oilers would be very interested in giving him a long-term contract, which could be over north of $5.5 million. Again, it's just all rumors. We're far away from when this needs to be a big problem if we're continually hearing this. I just think that the Leafs and Hyman both know that there needs to be moves made, and this is why I've been saying before, if the Leafs got eliminated in the playoffs early, which they have, Kyle Dubas is going to work, because they have to move out money in order to make this team competitive and hold on to guys that they believe that they should keep. Are you trading Morgan Rielly? Because that's a big possibility, because what happens if you play all season and then he just walks? Because let me just tell you guys something. Morgan Rielly is not going to re-sign in Toronto because they're not going to have the money to keep him. The only way that happens is if they trade Mitch Marner. And then you just give the money that you were going to give to Marner to players who are not as good, and you pay the rest to Hyman, and you pay the rest to whoever else. You pay it to Rielly, you pay it to Hyman, you pay it to whoever else you got. There is a lot of ways for the Leafs to save money this year. And, a lot of people are like, oh, they won't be good. Guys, even if you trade Mitch Marner, you have Matthews, you have Tavares, you have Nylander, you would be re-signing Hyman, Robertson's coming up. It doesn't matter. The Leafs would be able to get this team going again, and there's a lot of players in free agency that would be less than Mitch Marner's AAV, and they would sign to Toronto to have a chance to play with very good talent, I'm sure. But again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. This is just about Zach Hyman, and I want you guys to comment down below how much you think it's going to be. What do you think his contract's going to look like? Is he going to stay a Leaf? This is just my general thoughts. I'm going to say $4.5 million, a lot of signing bonus money that's going to be involved there. Give him security with a no-trade clause, because you're going to have to throw everything at him for him not to go to free agency. So I'm going to say $4.5 million over 6 years. I'm going to say there's going to be a no-trade clause, and it's going to be heavily bonused. There's going to be lots of bonuses, lots of money that's bonuses. It's going to be big money up front, big money, because they're going to have to convince him that this was the right decision. So let me know what you guys think. Could you imagine Zach Hyman playing with the Oilers, though? I don't want to think about it. I don't. I've already thought about it, but I don't want to keep thinking about it. Let me know down below, guys. Make sure to like this video and subscribe if you liked it. Lots of rumor videos coming. Make sure to suggest stuff. But, guys, this is my element. This is what I like talking about. Unfortunately, we're doing it a little earlier than we expected. Peace.